Hi everyone, welcome to Learning Matters. My name is Diana and I am here with you today to have such an important and meaningful conversation. I have an amazing guest that is joining us today, Marley Q, the founder of Project Park. She'll be here with us in a minute. I just wanted to take a moment and welcome you. I just finished Kind Yoga. Just finished that amazing practice of Kind Yoga, and then we're gonna tell you a little more about it in a few minutes. So help me welcome Marley Q. She is, hey!
Thank you.
Hi.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here
Hello.
with me today. So,
We've got that yoga glow.
We do. I see it. I see it. We're like, I felt so incredibly peaceful because the first things that came out of your mouth today were, this is a practice of kindness and self-love.
Mm-hmm.
And the word of self-love just totally hit me because it is the most important thing that we can do for ourselves and for others, right?
Yes, yes.
So
It's the whole reason I teach Kind Yoga. People always come to my class and they're like, what the heck is Kind Yoga? Right? I'm like, well, it's my own kind of yoga because I believe really the essence of any kind of yoga practice is self-love and kindness. This self-love for your body, for your mind, for your spirit. Obviously, the physical practice of yoga is very important,
Yes.
right? We want to get those nice chaturanga arms. We want to get, maybe a little more toned and sculpted, but really the foundation of all of it is practicing self-love and kindness. And it is Random Acts of Kindness Week.
yes.
We just celebrated Valentine's Day, the day of love and kindness and friendship. And tomorrow, Saturday, is National Random Acts of Kindness Day.
And I didn't know that. You brought that up to my attention
There you
because
go.
I didn't know that. So how did we even get here? On February 5th to the 10th, I took a pledge to support the Sandy Hook Promise campaign, Start with Hello Week.
And I didn't know anything about that.
And you didn't know anything about it.
There you
And
go.
so the universe just has a way, God has a way of really ordaining things to happen for a reason, and maybe it's just to drive this message home. But the purpose behind Start with Hello Week was simply to promote the message of inclusiveness, to promote the message of connection. Do you know how it was started?
I don't. I do now because
So
you told
do
me,
now.
but let's share some friends.
After the Sandy Hook massacre, because that's really what it was, the parents of Sandy Hook, the victims of Sandy Hook Elementary, came together for a cause, and the cause was, what can we do to prevent this from happening again, right? Because it was horrendous. I don't want any parent to ever have to go through that, and unfortunately this week we just saw history repeat itself. And during that week, it was all about promoting kindness. On Friday, the day that I spoke to you, they had this campaign called No One Sits Alone. So people would have to find a classmate or somebody in their school that they didn't know before and have lunch with them. So for me, this conversation is beyond the right now. It's a much larger conversation that we need to have about our community, our connection, our ability to really connect and be there for one another.
And what we're teaching our kids. And what we're teaching our kids and what we're modeling for our kids, right? Kids are sponges. And are we being kind as adults? Are we leading with kindness and modeling that and teaching that? Because I believe that it's innate. It's innate in all of us. We are one mankind. That's literally
Yes.
who we are.
We are.
But are we reinforcing that through messages, through actions, more than just talk, but through your actual actions? Are you being kind? Kindness is a lifestyle. It's not just about doing something
For someone.
It's about the actual being of acceptance,
Yes.
being equal with each other, seeing, right? That's
Seeing.
why I love yoga, because when we say namaste, it's like I acknowledge that
Yes.
light in me is exactly that light in you, and we are on this earth together,
Exactly.
traveling together, and it is our innate responsibility to be kind with one another and support each other and spread this message. And I mean, this week, if that doesn't hit home, I mean, when is it going to, right? So there's a lot of people that, you know, can agree, right, with this message of kindness, and that's great. But when I started Park Project, Park stands for Perform Acts of Random Kindness, I was set on, I don't want people to just agree with me. I don't want you to think that this is a really cute philosophy and like, oh, let's go ahead and celebrate, you know.
It's a movement.
It's a movement.
It's a movement.
And it requires you and me and us, all of us, we, right? My hashtag is we Park. It's the only way. And right? It's not about like, hi, look at me, I'm such an awesome person because I perform acts of kindness. It's really not about this self-serving, ego-focused way of, you know, promoting kindness. It's really more about having the courage to be kind and say, this is who we are, and this is who we need to be, and this is who we need to encourage our kids to be.
Yes.
Right? That's the only way that we can avoid, right, these type of tragedies. Absolutely. Right? When kids understand that, you know, other kids are going through, you know, loneliness and depression and issues at home, and they're sitting alone at lunch, and they have, you know, maybe mental illnesses, like all these things are happening, and so much more to our youth.
Yes.
We are the ones that need to teach our kids and encourage them to, hey, when you see someone sitting alone at lunch, why don't you sit next to them? Have the courage.
Yes.
Have the courage to say hello.
And you know, it's very interesting you say that, because when I look at youth now, I look at them a little different, right? So you talked about modeling. How do we model this behavior, right? Kindness is not just about an act, but it is a lifestyle. It's something that we have to do for ourselves and have to do with others, right? And so this brings us to the concept of social isolation. When you see somebody and they're alone and they don't have somebody to be with, say hi, right? But as an educator, I see more and more kids are becoming increasingly isolated.
And disconnected.
And so here's what I found that is fascinating, right? You take a child and you put an electronic device in their hands, and now you have a child who is becoming, or has the power to become, fully disconnected. And so the research shows that when kids are attached to electronic devices and social media, they're finding fulfillment through that. So the studies say that our brain releases dopamine through when we are connected to a social media device.
With every like, so if you're watching, give us some hearts, some likes. We like that dopamine. Everybody does.
That dopamine. So if you're watching, let us know that you're watching. Engage in this conversation. Yeah. But that was really interesting for me to find out that, you know, as they're connected to social media, they're connected to electronics, they're releasing this dopamine in their brain, and they're feeling like that is a connection. And that is really not authentic connection. And so it almost functions like cocaine. It's like a drug addiction, right? And so when they are going through difficult situations, what happens? Rather than asking for help, they withdraw. And that's how we see this epidemic just growing. And so kids now become isolated. The increasing feelings of loneliness leads them to withdraw. They don't ask for help.
Feelings of needing validation, right?
That too.
How are kids validating themselves? How many friends do I have? How many likes did I get? How many views do I get? Right? And I mean, it's this dangerous, you know, road, because I can appreciate and value technology, and really its purpose is it's a social media. It's supposed to connect us, but it's doing quite the opposite, right? So when we're looking at young people specifically, where they should be getting their reinforcement, their shots of dopamine, they should be getting their, you know, their validation, they should be getting their recognition, they should be getting their pats on the back and their hugs and their high fives from who?
From us and from each other.
Us. And they should be getting this from, you know, like the leaders and like the, you know, the celebrities and the people that they see on TV. The people that they're looking up to are the ones that need to be modeling this behavior. I was very blessed. I mean, I just did a TED Talk last week, and I got to share, you know, kindness is your superpower.
It is.
And why did I start this movement to spread kindness? Why do I teach kind yoga? Why, did I be a contributor in this Be Kinder book? Why do I do everything that I do surrounding kindness? Is because I had that model. I was very blessed and fortunate to have parents who modeled love and kindness above anything else, value that over money, value that over power and influence, value love and kindness and the strength and unity over everything. I had the great fortune of having my 4th grade teacher tell me
I remember
that kindness is your superpower. And the kicker there is that I believed her.
Yes.
Kids are going to believe, they believe in Santa Claus, don't they? They believe in the Easter Bunny. They believe in the Tooth Fairy. How about we teach them to believe in the power of kindness and that they have this boundless, limitless source of power within them.
Absolutely.
To be the spark of kindness and the spark of light that this world desperately needs.
Yes.
And it does require practice,
and
it does require intention, and it requires courage.
Yes.
Because it requires courage to actually look at someone in the eyes and be like, hello, good morning.
Yeah, or smile.
Smile.
I find it really interesting that the other day I was leaving a store and someone had their hands full, and all of a sudden I opened the door and I waited for them to pass, and their eyes just lit up. A
Right?
simple act, like you say, performing, acts of random kindness. And I love that because somehow we think that kindness has to be exemplified in these grandiose things, and really not.
It's always a small
Smiling to someone. Yesterday I had a student who struggles a lot with self-esteem, and so he's had a really hard time in school, and so doesn't feel validated at home either. And he asked me, he said, do you think I'm smart? Yes, my child, you are smart. You are lovable, you are loving, you are kind. And those little moments, like the one that your 4th grade teacher had with you, that serves as a catalyst for incredible, the ripple effects. And going back to that connection between social media and phones. So here's the trick part. Here's the interesting part about it. So we look at the rise of mass shootings, but did you know that the #1 cause of gun violence is gun suicide?
Towards yourself. We were just talking about self-love and kindness.
400,000, I think.
Holy smokes.
Compared to, it's around those numbers, if I'm not mistaken. And 450 something people have died as a result of a mass shooting. But hundreds of thousands have self-inflicted pain. And I don't want to take away from the importance of the subject and what happened on Wednesday, because I know that the trauma is there. I know my hat goes off to the teachers, the first responders, the counselors, the administrators, the parents. I cannot even begin to imagine the pain that all of these individuals are feeling. And now we have the repercussion, right? Now we have trauma that has set in, and that has to be dealt with, right? And I hear the conversation of gun control, needing mental health, assistance to youngsters who are troubled. And I hear that we need to train our teachers and our psychologists to be able to become that safe space for children to go to when they see something wrong. And I look at the perpetrator, right? And the defense attorney described him as a broken child, right? As a deep and broken child. And so I go back to, how do we even begin to counteract the violence?
It's such a big question, right? And I think with any problem, any issue that we can tackle, right? Whether it's this violence, whether it's cancer, any of the plethora of issues, right, that we have, that it's so easy to be consumed by all of it, to feed into, right, kind of the horribleness of it. Or for me, what yoga does is allow me to be able to detach and be like, what do I have complete and utter control over? The only thing that I have complete and utter control over, I can't save the world. I don't know how to provide any kind of solace or comfort, or if there is any kind of solace or comfort to all the parents and the teachers and the friends and the people that are suffering, that are still suffering, not just from what just happened at Marjory Stoneman Douglas, but are still suffering from Sandy Hook. I don't know that pain ever goes away. I can't begin to imagine that. But what I know for sure is that if we begin to practice in your own life, even as you're looking at this tragedy, are the thoughts that you're thinking about the, oh, I forgot his name, doesn't matter, about the Nicholas Cruz, the thoughts that you're thinking about him, or the words that you're saying about the situation, or the things that you're posting, or the things that you're sharing, right? So your thoughts and your words and your actions, do they equal kindness and compassion and love? Do they equal those things? Or are you perpetuating
more violence?
More violence with violent thoughts, with violent words, with violent actions.
Yes.
Right? Like, that's the only thing that you have control over. And so while it doesn't save, you know, it doesn't save the situation, that's all I know and that I could rest in. That's all I can do. Now is the time to talk about kindness more. Now is the time, not just talk about it, but be about it. Now is the time to, maybe tomorrow it's National Random Acts of Kindness Day. Maybe, you know what, go and donate blood. Today, there's a blood donation in Broward at the Performing Arts Center. One blood. Go donate blood, right? Maybe get your kids together, your classroom together, and write kindness cards and messages. Maybe, you know, find things on the internet that you can share that are promoting the things that we do want. Exactly. And stop perpetuating, stop being a vehicle for perpetuating violence with thoughts and with words and with actions that are not helping. That are not helping. If you're not going to drive your happy ass to Tallahassee and sit, you know, and try to lobby for gun control, stop posting and yelling about gun control. Yeah. That's not doing any kind of policy change, right?
And you know, I love that you said in the class when we were saluting, you said, today I will have kind thoughts and I will say kind things, right? And I will be kind towards the world. And that's really what it's all about, is that I don't discard any of the other things that are necessary, yes. Absolutely. But at the end of the day, I completely agree with you, is that I can only be responsible for myself, and I can only be responsible for what I contribute to the world. And so when
who you are being.
By who am I being, exactly.
By what you're thinking. This is all energy.
It's you know, and even when we talk about energy, like anger and energy, when you put anger and happiness as part of energy, I mean, it does incredible things. The energy that we emit through kindness, it's so much greater than the one that we emit when we're angry. There's this experiment, which is really, really interesting, where they took 2 apples and they isolated the apples in a room. One apple had sunlight and had someone speak these kind words to the apple every single day. The other had dark room and just really mean things being said to the apple. Well, the apple that received kindness thrived. The apple that received mean and just bad, just energy, just completely,
no kindness, no care.
And no care.
You see it with flowers. I see it with my orchids.
Plants.
My orchids all die when I don't take care of them, and I don't sit out there and water them and talk to them and like enjoy their natural beauty, right? Like the flower just blooms and is beautiful because it is. It doesn't need you to, I don't know, give it an award. It doesn't need you to pat it on the back. It blossoms because it is, right? And I believe that a lot of people, at least that I encounter on my, you know, this journey of almost a decade of spreading kindness, of talking about it, of being about it, of promoting it, of creating, you know, events and everything that I do to just spread this message that's so important. I encounter a lot of people that believe that, which I was raised to believe as well, that you perform acts of kindness, but you don't tell anybody about it.
That's
there
very
is a
interesting.
ridiculous number of kind acts that I perform on a daily basis that I don't like promote on social media and do it. You do it for the sake of
the outcome.
Of kindness, for the sake of being that way. Because you have this understanding of the power that it has to be that way.
Yeah.
But the real transformative superpower of kindness, in my opinion, is when we have the courage to share it. When we have the courage to say, you know what? I was at this, event, and I walked into the bathroom, and there was a young lady in the bathroom, a young woman who looked completely, defeated. Like, she looked a little disheveled. Her shoulders are down. Like, you could just tell her energy was just, And I walk in, and I just say, hello, hi.
And she's like,
how are you?
Someone
hello.
looked at me.
And we sparked a small, very brief, kind of superficial conversation, but we exchanged cards. She went on her merry way to the event. I went on my merry way to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And a few months later, I see this exact same woman at an event, looking completely different. And to be honest, I didn't even recognize her at first.
Wow.
And she's like, oh my God, I'm so excited to see you again. You remember that day?
And the bathroom where you decided to be kind to me?
When you decided to smile and have that conversation? Well, I went back into the event with a different mindset. And that day I was going to quit my music career.
Wow.
It was just too hard. I just felt like this was just not worth it. I just felt like I was going to give it all up. And I went back in with a different mindset, and you know what? I'm doing motivational concerts now.
Wow.
I'll tag her on this, and she will comment. Her name is Adriana Foster.
Hey, Adriana.
And I mean, she shared that story, and I'm not saying it to brag. I created an acronym for brag. Because I'm not saying it to brag about myself and, oh my God, I'm such an awesome person because I smiled at her and look. I'm not saying that I saved her life.
Yes.
I brag to be real and grateful. Brag, be real and grateful. I'm being real and grateful about the fact that I just smiled and I sparked the conversation, and that was enough to shift her out of her funk for a moment, allowed her to go back into the event and receive the information that was there for her, allowed her to feel better, and allowed her to make different decisions.
Absolutely.
That allowed her not to give up on her, her voice, which is a gift. And now she does motivational concerts and these experiences and has shared this story from stage, which is embarrassing because she's like, I went to the bathroom one time.
And I found this person.
But I mean, that's just a small little example.
But that's a very meaningful example, because here's the word, unseen, right? How many of us, how many of our kids, how many adults feel invisible, feel unloved, feel unseen? And so there is a psychological reason for it, okay? We were made for community. And so if you're familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? The bottom of that pyramid is just survival. We need to make sure that our physiological needs are met, right? That we eat, that we sleep. What's our second one? Safety, that we feel safe where we are. But guess what the third one is?
Do we feel connected?
Yes, that we feel loved, that we feel connected. Because we were not made to be isolated. We were not made as human beings to be disconnected from others. To the contrary, we were made for community. And that's why these events, that moment that you walked into the bathroom and you chose to smile, because I do think kindness is a choice.
Of course
it's a choice, and you chose to smile and uplift her spirits. And now she has paid it forward 10 times fold, because she has now utilized her gift to be a voice. And here's the,
and we all have the power to do
all
that.
Have the
I can't
power
sing.
To do that.
My voice is a little quirky.
No.
And we all have the power
the power
to be that spark in one way, shape, or form. What's your way? Is it video? Is it taking pictures? Is it drawing? Is it communicating with people? Is it reading a book to a child?
Things.
Is it creating events? I create events. That's my art. That's my way, right? What is your way to be that spark of light and be there? And that's why I practice yoga also, because it allows you to be present. If I would have walked into that bathroom and not be present to the fact there's another human being in there, not be present, only focus on the fact that I need to go to the bathroom. There's a person and she looked sad. And all I said was, hey.
And you smile.
So,
yes,
hey.
use a smile. Make sure that you smile at someone, right? Because that's the thing.
My kindness card today.
Smile. Share your kind smile with everyone you meet today. That is the kind card today. And I just absolutely adore this conversation because I do feel that we can be the spark, right? We can be the spark. I chose education for a reason, right? I battled with depression as a teen. I battled with suicidal ideation as a teen. And so thankfully, I had a support at home that allowed me to feel different. But my environment outside of my home was pure chaos. It is by a miracle that I am here today as a human being. And I battled into my early 20s. And there was a lot of feelings of loneliness. There were a lot of feelings of unworthiness. A lot of feelings of being unloved. And so when I decided, and I came into teaching by an accident, really. It was not ever God-designed accident, okay? And so today I can recognize that my trials and tribulations have not been in vain. And the purpose that I created, Learning Matters, and that's why I named it that, because learning does matter about whatever it is that we're speaking. But my purpose, my sole purpose with this was to educate kids, was to empower kids, but it was to promote self-expression, okay? Kids are more than just performance. Kids are more than just grades. I want to have them uncover their voice, discover who they are from the inside out, because I was robbed of that opportunity very early on. And so while your 4th grade teacher told you that kindness was your superpower, my 8th grade teacher told me that I was dumb and that I would never go to college. I have a master's degree today, by the way.
Boom!
Boom.
Boom!
Okay. But it took a lot. When I began to really question my thoughts, I had to question the lies that I had here. And so I urge you as a parent, as a teacher, as an educator, as a yoga instructor,
as a member of
as
the
a
society,
member of our community, to really look at our children like these sponges, because Marley had this upbringing that fostered kindness. I had an upbringing that fostered isolation. The less I was visible, the safer I felt. But the safer I felt, the lonelier I felt. And the only thing I had to survive were my thoughts. And I loved music. I would come home and I would close the room and I would blast music, and that was my escape. And so that is the reason why this conversation is so important. Join this conversation because I know that gun control is necessary. I know that mental health is necessary. I know that policy change is necessary. But here's what I also know, is that it starts right here. It starts in this space right here that we call heart, it's actually here. It really starts in our hearts.
Temporary,
Somebody called technical difficulties.
Good morning, Tim.
Hi, Tim. Is that your friend?
Yeah.
Hi. And so it's really being, kindness is really more than just acts. It is about acts, but it's teaching, it's being. It's what Marley's all about. It's being kind. And if you look at the word being, it's you, be all of it, be about it, right?
Yeah.
That's what you said.
And just to address, I get this a lot. Well, Marley, it's just so easy for you. I mean, you just wake up and there's like sunshine and sparkles and unicorns and just, and you're always smiling and just everything. God, your life is just so, so awesome. And I just saw your video and you're pregnant and you're having a baby and you just did this TED Talk and you just have so much to be happy about. Listen. Life is difficult for every single human being.
Absolutely.
Life is difficult for every single person, young, mid-old. It's difficult for everyone.
Absolutely.
Happiness is a choice. Happiness is a practice. It's a daily practice. Kindness is who you are, which allows you to be very clear in seeing when you are not being that.
Yes.
And notice what I said, when you are not being that, we have a tendency to,
Attack.
you know, to attack and be like, well, that's not it. And, you know, this should be different. And you and you and you. Bring it in.
Have control.
Bring it in. How are you being today? Are you being kind with your thoughts and what you're thinking about yourself and about other people? When you look at yourself in the mirror, are you criticizing? Are you self-judging? How are you being with your thoughts? How are you being with your words? I mean, it's so simple to say good morning.
Yes, and just say it.
It's so simple to say, you know, how are you doing? And actually wait for a response and have a genuine conversation with somebody. It's so
eye contact.
Easy to share something inspirational or empowering or uplifting on social media, right? And then what are you doing? What are your actions, right?
Yes.
That's all you have control over.
That's all we can.
And I have just been practicing that since I was 10 years old.
Yes.
That's really the only difference. I'm not any more kind than you are or than you are.
But we can all practice, right?
We can all practice. I can be super unkind. Ask my husband. Ask my family. I can be super not nice. But I know that that's not who I am, and I can see that behavior and be like, ooh, you know, and apologize, right? And ask for forgiveness and forgive myself, because we're all human beings and we all make mistakes and we all, you know, are mean sometimes and are having a bad day. Like, that's all okay. Nobody is perfect, right? So this subject of kindness is so important always, but especially this week, especially in the light of this tragedy, especially when we're thinking and we just feel so much pain and suffering and kind of helplessness. Like, what can I do? Well, I'll tell you what you cannot do, or what you're doing, or some people are doing that's not helping, right? The violent thought, the violent words, the violent action is not going to change anything.
Yeah.
We encourage you to maybe think about or reflect on, who am I being today that is perpetuating more kindness and more of the things that we do want in this world.
Or the things that we can. You know, every day I wake up, and if I wake up in a bad mood, and this is something that I, you know, as a strategy, because I think that kindness can be used as a strategy, right? Can we use it as like a public health strategy?
It's your superpower.
It's your superpower. I wake up every morning, and some days I'm going, another 15 minutes, please, you know, or maybe this day just, why? I take out a journal and I ask all the parents that I work with, I ask them to do it with their kids. And it doesn't have to be writing, it could be drawing, but, or even just in the breakfast table, right? How many of us actually sit nowadays with our kids and have breakfast, you know, before the rush of school? And so write a journal, and sometimes 5 things that I'm grateful for. And once I start that thinking process, again, if I change my thoughts, I change the things that come out, and then I change my outlook on the day, and my actions are different. Yes, I know when I'm being unkind. I know that, but I always have the choice. And I think that when we are dealing with kids, right, it's so easy now for everyone to feel anger. And I understand, rightly so. I was very angry on Wednesday when I learned about it. I sobbed. I got phone calls from parents. I got phone calls, people asking for homeschooling. I mean, the way that I even learned about it was at a store with a mom frantically on the phone, and her words were, schools are not safe anymore. I don't think that it has to do with schools. I think that it has to do with us as a society, as a community, and what we are doing to really perpetuate these things from happening, right? What we're learning, what we're modeling. And so I encourage you, you know, this week, and see, just God would just have it that way, that we would unfold this conversation, and tomorrow do something kind, be there for a loved one, you know, and it doesn't have to be grandiose. It just has to come from the heart. A simple hello. You know, my dad has this is his routine of kindness. My mom is Cuban, and you know, Cubans love their coffee, and he will leave the coffee pot, her Cuban thing, ready for the morning, right?
I do that for my husband every day.
Aw, see? And that, believe it or not,
is super
It just changes the way. So let's change the conversation with our kids, how we promote kindness, how they can be kind to one another, and even the way that they're seeing this perpetrator, right? He was deeply disturbed, and he has to be a deeply disturbed human being. But there is a lot of correlation between violence and loneliness, and I really urge you to look into that, because it keeps growing. And in just these last 2 months, we've had 18 school shootings. And so just to think of that for me is just mind-blowing. And so what can we do to promote kindness? I love Marley. Can I show them?
Sure.
So Marley has this amazing
little card
set, right? And show them the box, because I just think that it is amazing. It's I am kindness.
That's who
right?
you are.
That's who you are. And then look, you get these cards. Let me see if I can show them. I think they're gonna be upside down. You're not gonna be able to read it, but I'll read you a few. And for example, share your kind smile with everyone you meet today. Imagine writing a note like this to your child and putting it in their lunchbox, right? Or give someone a hug, a high five, thumbs up. Ah, yes. Or all of the above, right? I have to tell you, I'm a member of Panera, and Panera gave me like an entire month of free bagels in January. And so every day I decided to pay it forward by offering somebody that bagel. And I felt amazing. So do that, right? Then we have, when you look into the mirror, smile and say, I am beautiful, kind, and awesome.
That's so powerful. I'm going to be honest with you. I made that card very purposefully because that was a very difficult practice for me and very intentional. I did it for like a whole year while I'm brushing my teeth. I am kind, I am beautiful, I am awesome. Good morning, right? And having this practice of treating yourself kindly. Right now in our yoga class, I teach, a very simple practice that you can do every morning, every evening, every time you're in the car, any moment that you have. BSG.
I love that.
BSG. Breathe, smile, and be grateful.
Yes.
If the first thing you do, take inventory of what's the first thing that you do when you wake up in the morning. Do you wake up in the morning and immediately you're like, ugh? Sometimes, but then you can catch yourself, right?
Awareness.
You'll go immediately to your cell phone and see, the headlines and what you missed, the notifications. Do you just, your feet hit the ground and you're like, I gotta go, and you're in this, or this takes no extra time. You can wake up in the morning and you can just
take that stock right there.
Take this full breath and smile.
Yes.
Till you mean it. And you're holding on to your heart. You feel your heart beating and you can just be grateful.
Yes.
And no matter what is going on in your personal life or in the world, you can always find something to be grateful for if you allow yourself to stay there. Sometimes I grew up with asthma, and the only thing that I was grateful for was that I could breathe, that I could take a whole breath without struggling, without wheezing, right? And I would just, and I smile and I'm like, thank you. And then just say good morning to yourself. Yes. Like you are with yourself.
Every day.
Every day.
For a very long time.
Holy smokes, would you want to be your own friend? You have to practice that, right? Like, are you being a good friend to yourself?
It starts with self-love.
It starts there, man. That's where it starts. And then that'll allow you to be this abundance naturally without having to do anything, but just by being it. So that when you turn around and you see your significant other or you see your children, you're like in this positive, good state.
Yes.
Right? You do it in the shower. Like, just allow yourself to be.
Even that. I've noticed that. Even that. Like, even the shower. Like, having that moment to say, wow, like,
this soap smells good.
This body, or yes, or this smells good, or
instead of having, your 9 a.m. meeting in the bathroom with you, right? Like, oh my God, and I have this big day today, and I need to, let me just take a shower real quick, and let me, scrub it, holy. Folks, like breathe, smile, be grateful for the fact that you have running water, that you have warm water, that you are standing on your legs, or that you can wash them, that your soap smells good. Like, just take a moment. It takes no extra time, and it might sound like woo-woo and, you know, fluffy-duffy, like,
but it's true.
It is the truth.
It's absolutely
true. It is a practice, and it'll allow you to open up the door to your house and face traffic without wanting to kill the person that just cut you off. Just be like, go ahead, man, I'm having a good morning.
Yeah, or even if you're in traffic and you're looking at the line and you're thinking, oh my God, the Palmetto. I always say to myself, God, thank you, because there's been the podcast that I've been wanting to hear for the longest, and
that's why we're friends.
You know,
that's what I do too.
Now I can hear it. You know, now I can have that opportunity. But it's taken me so many years to get to a place of self-love, and it's what Marley says. It takes practice. It takes intention. Every day, I set an intention for the day. You know, coming from that place of vulnerability, I was always very hard on myself and became almost this perfectionist. Even today, as we were getting ready for live, here I was beating myself up. Oh my God, you know, what am I going to say? Do I need notes? How are we going to do this?
And I looked at them once.
And
here we are. We don't need them. We don't need them.
And all of that because I was in my head, and it's always fear. And remember this, fear, it comes from a place of hopelessness and powerlessness, right? And so how do we want to equip ourselves and our kids? We want to equip them with power. And I do believe that kindness is that power. Kindness encompasses self-love and love for others. If we can have love for self, we can be love for anyone else on this planet, okay?
From a true place of abundance, right? You can do the action, but you know, that's when you find yourself burnt out, or like, oh God, you know, all I do is give. I feel taken advantage of, or this or that. It's like,
boundaries.
Well, hang on.
Yes.
Are you practicing self-love and kindness? Because I promise you, if you turn that kindness inward, you can say good morning to people, and they can look at you and be like,
yes. And I've had that.
And it doesn't faze you at all, because you're not doing it in order to get anything in return. I'm not smiling and saying good morning to you in order for you to like it, smile back at me, and receive it, right? But that's only because I can smile and look at myself in the mirror now
and crack up
and just be like,
like, oh, look at you, silly one. Yes.
And not be mean, not be violent, right? Not be cruel and critical. And it does, I suffer from perfectionism. Every once in a while that comes back, and I've got to, you know, shake it off. It is a practice, my friends. And in light of this entire conversation, if you've been with us, thank you. If you enjoyed, you know, what we're talking about and know that it's important, share it, you know, like join, like have a conversation with us, ask questions. We can reply afterwards.
Yes, afterwards I will definitely do that, because
but really the whole point, the objection, you know, it's scary to be able to come on Facebook Live and talk about kindness when there's so many people that are suffering and that are angry and have every reason to be right? But I argue that now is the time that we have to come together and talk about the solution. And I believe it is that simple. I believe that it does start with this awareness, this acknowledgement. I am kindness, and so are you. And we are not being that, which is why we are seeing what we're seeing in the world. So all you can be, your personal power, is a vehicle. You can be the spark of kindness with your thoughts, with your words, and most importantly, with your actions. So what are you doing today in order to be the spark of kindness in the world? What are you doing, you know, tomorrow on National Random Acts of Kindness Day? You don't need a holiday. You don't need a Valentine's Day. You don't, it's every day, it's a practice. What are you doing in order to do that today?
Thank a first responder. Send a note to a teacher. Hug your kid, okay?
I walk around with like stickers all day long.
Stacks.
I'm like, here.
Right? This is a great, I love this because this is really a great
That's gift. For you. That's a gift for you for having me on your thing.
This is an amazing gift. This is a reminder. This is a gift. You know, donate blood if you can. Know that trauma is real. And so we're not going to discard that is real. So I want to offer also resources for you to take. If you are in Broward, and you know that trauma can be secondary as well. So the parents have experienced trauma. The first responders have experienced trauma. The kids, the students have definitely experienced trauma. The community now is experiencing trauma. So I don't want you to leave this conversation not knowing what you can do. I want you to spread kindness. And sometimes the kindest thing that you can do for yourself is acknowledge that there is a problem. Okay? Acknowledge, be aware, develop compassion for yourself. If you're in Broward, I want to check out Kids Course. Kids Course is a trauma resolution program meant for children to process their emotions and their feelings, especially during this time. I'm sure that your kid has had many questions about what happened on Wednesday. Many of you sometimes do not have the answer. And I don't want the answer to come from a place of anger. We just have to continue this conversation. You know, there will be so many other conversations that we have to have about this topic. If you're in Miami and you want to learn more how you can help your child, maybe your child is already a child that deals with anxiety or depression, and now this incident has exacerbated that even more. You know, PTSD is real, guys. So I want you to check out Bounce. Bounce is a trauma resolution program for kids in Miami. It's offered by Wellspring Counseling. So call them, take note of what's going on, be observant of your children, be understanding that they all express their emotions differently, and we are all grieving, and grieving does not happen in a sequence, and grieving does not happen the same for everyone, right? Some people are angry, some people are maybe have gone through accepting what's happened. Some people are isolating. Some people are sad or lashing out. And so understand that everyone will respond differently to circumstances like this. And so be that person who shows compassion. Be that person who shows awareness. Be that person that continues to move this forward. Whether it's to Park Project, and I know Marley does amazing work with Park Project. They just had a flash mob of kindness, which I think it's amazing. Or you go out and you donate blood, or you take care of a family member, or whatever it is that you choose to do, just do it from a place of awareness, kindness, and compassion.
Because it all starts with that intention.
It starts with that intention.
I've got 2 resources if I can share. Maybe we can put like the links down here for folks. I work, there's a nonprofit that I know of in Miami-Dade called the Children's Bereavement Center.
That's correct.
Right? The Children's Bereavement Center, and I'll put the link on there. They offer really great resources for children who are going through loss of a family member, of a friend, and really, you know, support for the parents as, you know, where you're going through suffering and loss and those emotions. And also stop parenting alone, right? So many parents, you know, guys, there's not a handbook. I'm about to be a parent and I'm freaking out here, and I'm only almost 5 months pregnant. I realized that, you know, there's no handbook for parenting. So a really beautiful dear friend of mine who just gave me, you know, a book. I just got it in the mail yesterday. She's so beautiful and so kind and generous and giving. It's Lina Acosta Sandal from Stop Parenting Alone.
I've heard of
so
that.
you can Google Stop Parenting Alone and stop parenting alone. There's support groups. There's, you know, a chat where you can ask questions as to maybe how to have a conversation, how to, you know, how to help one another, right? There's things that you can do. You have the power always, and it always starts by being able to reach out in kindness and asking for support.
Yes. And teaching our kids that they can ask for help, that they're not being selfish now
or
by
weak.
Asking for help, or being weak by asking for help. And you as a parent, you're not being weak either by asking for help.
Right.
Like Marley said, you don't come with a handbook, right? We chose this path of empowerment, and we've chosen this path of inspiring others and helping with resources and connecting each other. But you also have that power, and you just have to tap into it and just be that spark for somebody else.
Yeah.
And maybe today you just start with yourself, okay? Maybe today you can only take care of yourself, and that is okay. Right? It's absolutely okay for you to start with you, because I assure you, and I encourage you to do that. Self-care in these times is very, very important. Okay, so guys, join the conversation. We'll have the video well, it's live, but it'll continue online. Share your comments. I will be responding. Marley as well, and we'll share the links as soon as we're done. We'll share the links at the bottom. But I just really want to continue to thank you for your support in this movement. It takes an entire community. I want to take my hat off to everyone involved. I know today even got a message of a therapist in Broward who's offering free counseling services. Her name is Juliana Guevara. She's offering services and different therapeutic approaches for those who need to come in and see her. So do that. You know, take care of yourself today. If you take care of your child, begin a conversation that goes into a place of love and how we can spread it and be that for one another. Remember that we were made for connection. We were made for unity. And darkness cannot survive where there is light. And we have enough light to go around. And I know the news may sound very somber, and they are right now. I don't take that. But we have so much light to offer our community, to offer our kids.
It was a beautiful visual last night in Parkland. And look at the irony. The irony, this happens in Parkland, Florida. Park is the name of the movement. Park stands for Perform Acts of Random Kindness. And I believe all I can preach, really all I can live, all I can do is be that spark that performs acts of random kindness in whatever way you can, today and every day. Our hearts truly go out. The thoughts and the prayers, these things are so important. You know, in my yoga class, I dedicated my energy to all of the parents and the teachers and the students, you know, and the community at large that is suffering from this horrible tragedy. What can we do about it? It can start here, at least with our thoughts and our words, and most importantly, our actions. What are you doing today to be the spark of kindness that this world desperately needs, that our children desperately need to see and feel and model? And it starts with us. So just thank you for being a part of the conversation. Thank you for having me and asking me to be on here. And I can't wait, you know, to share it. I mean, this just goes right aligned with, you know, who I am and everything that I'm about.
Thank you for being that spark. Thank you for setting that movement in our community, for modeling it for us, for being that example for us. And I just hope that I can continue to reach parents, that I can continue to reach teachers, students, through my work, because it's really about empowerment, and I do believe that kindness is a superpower. So I'm very thankful to you.
We're here for you, so reach out to us. Don't just like watch and stuff. Yes. Like reach out if we can be of any help, of any resource at all. Truly, that's the only reason why we do this.
So I hope that you have a great Friday. I hope that you will.
Thank you, Tim, Jess. Thank you.
Oh, Jess is there. Hey, Jess.
I'll also put a link to the kindness cards if you want to check those out.
And look at the back. You have kindness, and then you have love, and it's just like kindness and love.
It's a circle. It's a ripple effect.
Round and round.
Thank you. Please,
so guys,
please spread the word.
Be the word. Be the spark. Be kindness. It's time to park, like we said. Let's be the antidote to violence, okay? And we can do just by being who we are. We have a voice. We have a purpose. Let's use our platforms to really promote that. And just reach out to us, okay? So with that, have a great day, and don't forget to be kind.
Be the spark.
Be the spark.
Park. Bye, friends.
Bye.